Hey, John, welcome back for another conversion focused website teardown. The site that we're going to take a look at today is parkerclay.com, which is a totally new brand to me, but I know they just landed an A player in Adrienne. And maybe we can give her some raw material to work with and hit the ground running over there. So I got the website fired up here. The first thing I'm seeing is kind of this full spread welcome mat discount pop up. And I'm curious to hear your first impressions here as we try to figure out what this brand does, because I know it's new to you as well.
It is new to me. I am not clear on what they sell. Our vision to end exploitation, we do it by making the world's best bags. Okay, so that's interesting. I love that they led there with the mission and brand and vision. I think that's important. I don't like that we just got to the site and they're telling me right off the bat, our products aren't worth what we charge for them. They're worth 15% less than that. And that's really the goal, for a consumer, is to get them to convert onto the list. But what we're going to find here generally is that when you do it in this manner, you're going to get a bunch of people to sign up for this who then are going to start marking your emails as spam or not opening them, and it's going to hurt your overall deliverability and your list. And it's going to, there is a cost to sending an email. It might be pennies, but it does add up over time. And so really what we encourage brands to do on these, and based on a decade plus of testing these, wait to offer a discount, and also wait to have a pop-up. Like, I really still don't know anything about the brand and whether or not I'd want 15% off or whether I want to be on the list. So it's a little early for all of this, and it's just hurting the brand image to immediately offer 15% off.
Yeah, totally agree. Especially when you have a claim like the world's best bags. Fairly confident the world's best bags would not cut the price because they're worth every penny, right? So just conflicting messaging there. And the fact that it came up immediately, I mean, I think the big win for a lot of brands out there, if you're going to do this, and I get why people do it, is make it triggered by scroll depth or exit intent or something a little bit more than just landing on the homepage. And this came in, I mean, I didn't even have time to ask for your thoughts before it took over the page. And so I think the knee-jerk reaction there is automatically, where's the close button? How do I close? No thanks, just take me to the site, something like that. And let's assume I do that and I find out that I actually want to purchase something from Parker Clay. How do I get that back, right? How do I take advantage of that offer? Now you've built a relationship on a foundation of like, not mistrust, but that's not the best experience that we would want somebody to have. Like, we dangled this in front of you before you were ready to take advantage of it, and now that you are, there's no clear way to get it back. That's not how you want to start a relationship with anybody. So as I get the discount pop-up out of our way and I load up kind of the hero section here, the first thing I'm attracted to is this video background, and it's showing me the bag in use, which I kind of like. I don't know that it's necessarily, I mean, the more I watch it, it has its moments of prominence. But yeah, I guess this is good. I don't necessarily dislike it, and it looks like a beautiful bag. So it's oriented around a single product, which I think is interesting. Anything else jump out at you that I haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, usually I prefer to see brands at this point focusing on their mission, their vision, what makes them different, not one product. I do agree the video is well done. It features the product pretty prominently. But I really have some issue with them focusing on one product, because this makes me feel like the only product they have is the Abby backpack, right? So if I'm new to this and I clicked on an ad, or I was, somebody said, hey, you got to check out the world's best bags. Well, even though it was plural, I get here and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, they sell the Abby backpack. So as a consumer, I think that they are, going to confuse folks, and I think they're shortchanging their entire line of products. I do like that they have free shipping on U.S. orders, $150 at the top. They were eliminating that concern right up front. We've tested a lot of that; it performs well. However, it does segment by women, men. And I'm trying to figure out how that matters for backpacks, but it could. So I think that's interesting that they've chosen to take that approach. Gift guides, okay, like I'm not hugely opposed to that. Helping people who might be buying a gift, I think that that's always something worth exploring. Our impact, I think, I'm not usually a huge fan of including those types of things in the navigation. That should be baked into the content throughout the site. It's something that they're proud of, and I understand that, and they should be. but baking that in throughout the site can make a big difference where people are having these questions or as a reassurance tool. Get in touch, and the navigation does not need to be there. If people want to get a hold of you, they will scroll down to the bottom right-hand corner of your footer, and you also have the chat bubble there as well. Rewards is something I don't typically want to see in a navigation either. And the reason being that this only really applies if I'm already a customer or when I'm ready to purchase and you want to give me rewards, right? So I highly recommend not having rewards in the navigation because it doesn't serve a large enough percentage of the visitors.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because it's also right here. So if I came back and I was a customer, I could find it right here, or if I'm signed in, I'll probably see it on my dashboard, I would guess. So it feels like you could save two elements from your primary navigation here, and maybe even nix our impact. Although I wouldn't, somebody with a social mission, I wouldn't fault them for wanting to give that prominence in the primary nav. So that's fine. But like we could get it down to 4 and probably incentivize more shopping behavior because of that.
Exactly.
And I would say we don't know much about their audience and where their traffic comes from. If they get a lot of like repeat purchasers, then I don't necessarily hate having a single product here, because like if most of your traffic is repeat traffic and they know the rest of your product line and this is new, that's fine. But like it's still missing a little bit of that, what makes this different besides the fact that it's a different style and it looks different? Like, is it your first backpack you've offered? And historically you've had like handbags or whatever, like one shoulder bags or whatever. Is it unique materials? Is it giving back to a specific community, based on your social mission? Like what is the compelling part of this versus just like the Abby backpack? What does it mean to the people who are fans of your brand? So as I scroll down, that kind of disappears. It's a cool little interaction. Well, you've got some other things coming in an animated fashion. So yeah, premium leather bags. So that's the first mention of specifically being leather that I've seen. But this is what you're talking about, I think, in terms of baking your mission into the website content and maybe not needing such a dedicated space for it up there in the navigation, is like dignified employment and uplift women out of exploitation. Like these are little tiny elements that still communicate the value of your mission. And you could just change this link instead of just a generic learn more. It could be like, hear more about how we give back or something like that, right? Like it could just be a little bit more specific, and it probably gets 80% of the progress that you're looking for out of this anyway, right?
Yeah, I think more people are going to click learn more than view our impact in the navigation. I would actually move all this messaging up instead of the featuring the new bag in that, right? So I would have this messaging here because this is really what makes you guys different. This is what makes somebody want to buy from Parker Clay. Yes, you have beautiful bags. Yes, it's a great product, but I think really focusing on the mission and what makes you guys different is what's going to matter.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and watch the recording. I don't know when this email capture form came back in, but there's that 15% off discount we were talking about. So I've been proven wrong. There is a relatively easy way to claim that. I'm not sure if it was time sensitive or if it was based on scroll depth, but yeah, I don't, if you're going to have the initial pop up and it gets closed out, I don't necessarily dislike this coming back around at some point. But at the same time, can you hide this from folks who are already on your email list? You know what I mean? If I come back to the site, I shouldn't see this or the pop-up again.
I also have some concerns around the messaging here because you're not really telling people what to expect, right? It says, don't forget to join our email list and receive 15% off. Well, how often are you going to email me and what are you going to send me? And that really is going to help conversions, as well as having just a short, small privacy statement underneath that email field will make a big difference.
Agreed. So we'll close that out. One thing that's jumping out at me at this section is everything seems to be new, right? Like, and if you launch a bunch of products at once, that's not necessarily unheard of, but maybe that is just more reason to have this hero section show kind of the breadth of your product offering and have the mission on the left, but show an image or a video that has this bag and the Abby backpack and the mini bucket bag all together in kind of a collection laid out on a desktop, on somebody's shelf at their home or in their closet, whatever. Like, I don't know, if everything's new, then nothing's new, right? And so that's the first thing that jumped out at me as I moved down the page here. Is like, maybe we could have just lumped all this together and then gave individual CTAs or something to get somebody to the product that they like from that collection.
Yeah, I'm also never a fan of having our founders or something like that on the homepage. I think, again, that's good supporting material for people who are looking for it. I don't know that anybody at this stage is really looking to dive into that level. You know, quite honestly, just saying our founders does not, it doesn't tell me anything anyways, and I don't think it's adding any benefit here. The reality is people aren't ready for your story at this high level of the funnel. Maybe on a product detail page where you can talk about why it's special to your founders, or how you came up with that individual product and what pain it was solving for them that led to the genesis of it. But having it here on the homepage is unlikely to get engagement, number one, and number two, really aid the journey, and you're taking up space for an item that could do both of those.
Yeah. I'd certainly like to see the heat map on this and see if it's a cool blue, or, you know, maybe we could be proven wrong, but I bet it would be pretty dark in there and you'd see a lot of red and orange and
Mm-hmm.
yellow elsewhere on the page. Um, See, more mission-based messaging here. Love this. Crafted in Ethiopia, so you know like what community you're giving back to. This
Mm-hmm.
ethical piece talks about, you know, those reasonable employment and uplifting folks out of poverty, that kind of thing. So really like this, and it looks like they've done a pretty good job. I mean, the more that I see these things, okay, we've got a better bag, right? We've got a better process for making the bag. Let's see what's under this real quick. And it makes a better world. So I love kind of the cadence of getting these three core messages in front of somebody in sequence. All of this together means we really don't need this up here, I wouldn't think. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're really hammering kind of this mission and the social good that you're doing, which I think is fantastic. So I don't, I think you can save three elements from the primary navigation up here
Yeah.
and really let that focus on your product line and then tell your story on the homepage. I think this is a great use of this real estate.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job of weaving that story in while also having some focus on the products, like shop with confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take you into shop. Pretty clear. Better process. Then you can, you know, if you really want, you can dive into that. So I agree with you. This
And
is
they're a B
great
Corp.
content to have on the homepage. Oh,
They're a
even
B
better.
Corp just like us. Yeah, awesome. And then you can see your impact. So yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. And the only thing I would say here is maybe the CTA could be a little bit more visually attractive, right? Like a button, for example,
Mhm.
just stand out a little bit because these paragraphs are so large, and it is a different font, it is a different size. Even just making it a different color or something might make it stand out, so somebody's more likely to move. But I could see it being missed as small as it is, especially on certain devices or people with a visual impairment or something like that. It could definitely be overlooked. So that's my
Yeah.
only feedback there. Oh, go ahead.
At least they're consistent with those call to actions, but the call to action in the main image up at the very top of the page was a button.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of what you trained people for to see, right? That shop now. So I would make sure we use that type of call to action throughout the rest of the page.
That makes sense to me. Awesome. So we got a little bit of social proof here. Forbes, Reader's Digest. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Okay, not. I'm gonna go back and try to figure out why that happens because I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, so this logo just takes you to
Mm.
the homepage. I was trying to get this tiny little line here to navigate through the testimonials, and there must have been some overlap with that image. But yeah, it was taking me to the homepage. So is this one. So it's really just a logo that if you accidentally click on that, it's going to open the homepage in a new tab. Probably not
Yeah.
the ideal use of that that href tag, right?
Right. Well, we do find that consumers want to click on logos and see where that was featured. Meaning, if it's in Forbes, was it what was the full article, right? And so people will click on that. And so I think you know, either don't make it clickable at all, in which case you'll probably see, if you did click mapping, what I like to call rage clicking. People will sit there and just click on it, hoping that something will happen. I don't know why, but it happens. And the second thing is here that if you just have them go back to the homepage, that's really disruptive, as you found, right? So
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I'll say about these is like there's not a whole lot as I skim through. There's not a whole lot about the products themselves. This is more mission, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But like the strongest thing they say about the product is it's very stylish and incredibly durable. But like I don't know, I just feel like they could have been a little more complimentary. And there's probably a better piece in this article
Mhm.
or this news segment or whatever it was. Like this is your go-to bag. That's great, but like you talk about making the best bags in the world, and you got this section here about a better bag. Like, I'm sure people have said nice things about it. I'm sure it feels great. I'm sure it looks great. So is there a better quote that you can use for that? Like, this was the best one that I saw in the lineup, which is like talks about the product, but also it has an amazing mission. Like, that's a
Mhm.
good bite-sized testimonial to me. Some of these other ones feel a little weak, and I just wonder if in the original source material there's a little bit better line that could have been pulled from there, in terms of like getting somebody over that hurdle for making a
Mhm.
purchasing decision, right?
Yeah.
We've got a carousel here that looks like Instagram, and it looks like, well, I can't see a destination URL, but we'll check it out. Okay, so it's going to open in a modal, which is better than taking me to Instagram, as we always say.
Yeah, I like this. I think that it looks like they're using the Oppo version, which is great. It's it does a decent job. What I would recommend here, though, is just making sure that they're clicking out and linking to the product itself. Yotpo does allow that functionality, and I think that's being missed here. So I would want to see that, because consumers, if they click on this photo, they're interested in the product, right? Like, give them an easy way to get there.
Yeah. I've clicked on two so far. They were both about the Abby drawstring backpack. I don't
Hmm.
see it in this image, but maybe it's getting cropped in a creative way. So yeah,
Early
that's one thing that I
access.
noticed. And it does look like this is automatically scrolling, which is interesting. And a couple of these seem to have a buy now button associated with them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I was
um,
gonna say that's what I'm used to seeing on these, and should be there, so I'm surprised it's not on all of them.
yeah, maybe that's some low hanging fruit. Just go back through and make sure all these posts have the right buy now button associated with them, or at least a
Mhm.
category page or something, right? Whatever you can do there is better
Right.
than nothing. So, um, you know, I would say carousel jacking is right in line with scroll jacking, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's like, because what if I liked, this image here and you automatically scroll it and I lose that. So that could be a minor annoyance. And if that's something
Yeah.
that can be turned off, I'd probably advocate for that. But otherwise, yeah, I think we're coming down into the footer here. We'll wrap things up by taking a look at that. I like that they put the B Corp front and center. Mission's a huge part of this brand and their
Mhm.
marketing. So why not make it big and prominent? And probably in the first place, somebody would look when they make it this far down. Anything else jump out at you about the footer other than the lack of kind of organization into sections and headings? That's the one thing that jumps out at me.
Yeah, it's not overly helpful for a consumer, and that's how a consumer is gonna use a footer. Is, I didn't get my questions answered anywhere else, I'm just gonna scroll down to the footer, or I'm frustrated because I couldn't figure something out, I'm gonna go down to the footer. So I think there's a huge swing and a miss here, and I think this could be a pretty good opportunity for improvement pretty quickly. First thing I would do, far left, have all the categories, product categories outlined, in its own column, then have some type of support or miscellaneous links in there. And then on the far right, what I would do is have all your contact information and support information. That's where people, if they want to get a hold of you, they're going to scroll down to the bottom right hand corner. So that whole get in touch that we talked about in the main navigation, all that content should be down here in the bottom right hand. And I would move the social icons down below that. The
Mm,
problem is that you don't want to send somebody off to a social page to get support, because what's going to happen? Well, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all of those are all black holes. You go into
right.
them, and you end up doing something else within 30 seconds, and getting distracted very easily. So you want to keep them on your brand, especially when they need help like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the only thing that jumps out at me is some of these kind of look like they have maybe an SEO element to them, right? Like ethically made handbags
Mhm.
kind of sounds like a keyword, search keyword that I'd be expecting to see. Handmade leather wallets the same way, luxury leather goods. So it's like, um, I don't necessarily have any reservations about that. If it's working for you, then keep doing it. But I don't know that's necessarily the most helpful way, or the most intuitive way that somebody would come to your site looking for a product at this point in the page,
Mhm.
right? Like maybe to be a little bit more on the nose with those with like totes and bags, right? Or leather wallets and clutches, something like that. For men, for women, that kind of thing might be
Mhm.
more helpful. And it's one thing to attract traffic to your site because it's keyword optimized. It's another thing to actually get a sale because it's useful for somebody in the right moment at the right time. So it might
Right.
be worth testing. All right, cool. Thank you so much for your thoughts as always, John. As I get back up here to the top of the page, in that beautiful video we talked about at the start of this,
Mhm.
I think they're doing a lot of things right. I certainly support the mission and how much of an important role that plays on this homepage, but I also think it doesn't sacrifice some of that product messaging and that product imagery as well. So I think it was a nice balance, and there's still room for improvement and getting folks to that next step in the funnel, whether that's looking at a category like women's bags and men's bags, or whether it's to a specific product like the Abby backpack. So any parting words for Parker Clay as we sign off here?
Always love helping another B Corp, and hopefully there's some value in this today. And yeah, agreed. There's a lot of things that we could be testing on this, I think, or they should be testing on this that could maybe just push it over that to that next level. So, but
Right.
overall, great site.
And every additional sale is $1 back into that community in Ethiopia. So every decision counts, and we're just happy to help and do what little part we can. So thanks again, John, and we'll look forward to doing another one with these with you soon.